People say that if there ever was a local at Jacksonville Beach Pier, it was Alvin Farmer, and I guess that's probably because I lived right near the pier. Because I was out there so much, maybe I got a little possessive? I don't know. You really didn't want to drop in on me. I wasn't a nice person in that regard. Anything else? Yeah, I'm a nice guy. My earliest days of surfing were in 1962. I was around 11 years old, and my first surfboard was a Daytona Beach by Ali, and I started out on that. And just before that, though, I was riding styrofoam boards, you know, the little junky things you get at the store, and I would see all these guys that were just ripping. Bruce Clellan was the first guy to come to mind. That guy was so smooth, had so much style, and you couldn't help but be impressed. Things just kind of progressed from there. I started entering contests, and when you enter contests, you can't help but get a little more competitive. So I'd pick off different guys that I wanted to beat in this contest or that contest, and that's how I did it. You know, I'd just find a guy that was in my heat and say, you know, that's the guy I gotta beat in this heat, because he was the best guy. You know, the local contest with the surf clubs was great. It evolved into seeing the other guys that were on surf teams and what have you, surfing competitions all up and down the East Coast and predominantly in Florida. And you know, you wanted to compete in those contests. Those were the bigger contests because you got to travel, you got to be with your buddies and surf different breaks, and you know, just be competitive with them and step up your game. And in 1973, I had the opportunity to start the North Florida district of the Eastern Surfing Association. It was all done by myself and Darlene Farmer. She was instrumental. She's the first lady of North Florida surfing competitively with the ESA. I did get hired by Bill Hickson to run his shop, and at that point in time, he didn't have a lot of inventory, so we had to work hard to build up inventory, you know, pay off some debt, which we did, and also build up that inventory in surfboards, t-shirts, trunks, ladies wear, and that's when it really blew up. During that process of building that shop back up, that's when I was offered a job over at Aqua East Surf Shop with Sandy Forsyth and his family. And I managed that shop for a number of years. Sandy asked me to build a surf team the first year that we built the surf team. Out of, I think it was about 7 different shops, we were third. And then the next year we were first place, and for 3 years, 4 years, whatever it was, right after that we were always number 1. When he came to me and offered me a job, he needed to open a store. He was building really good surfboards, and this is one of those tragic cases of I can build a great surfboard, but I'm not a great businessman. And so I ran the shop, and he'd bring boards in, and I would pump them out the door and sell tons of surfboards because he made a great surfboard. I worked for him for about a year, and then I went and got a real job, as they say. And that was only about a year long that shop stayed open, but it was a great experience, great shop. I made lifelong friends, but that's the way surfing is. When you surf, you have lifelong friends.
We moved to Atlantic Beach when I was about 5 years old, and my mom used to take all of us kids to the beach every day, so we would get tired and take naps in the afternoon. And so I always loved going to the beach. And then when it was in the summer between my 7th and 8th grade year, that would have been 1967, and I had a styrofoam belly board from Pick and Save. It was about 5 feet long, and I was only about 4'6", so it was bigger than I was, you know, out there riding across on this wave. And one of the surfers out there, Greg Juvic, he was paddling out, and while I was riding across in front of him, he just said, "Stand up." So I stood up, And so then I was surfing, that following February. Jimmy Steig went with me up to Hickson's and we ordered my first surfboard. It was an 8-foot Hanson Master. And so then I started riding the regular surfboard after that. And one of my friends, Skip Brooker, who lived up in northern Atlantic Beach, he was real competitive, and so he started surfing in the ESA, and so I decided to give it a try. And my first ESA contest was down at Fort Pierce in January of 1971. And surfing in the ESA was a real great experience because I got to surf with lots of good people and met lots of good people that are still good friends to this day. And actually, I went to Hawaii in 1974. My friend Chris Gardner, he had moved there with his family. And then also a friend of mine, Dan Nichols, who I'd met in Eleuthera when I went there the first and second time. And he got me interested in shaping surfboards. He had gone out there in the year before, and he said he'd be out there again, and so that I should come out there. So then after I got my teaching job, I wanted to go to some other places. And in 1982, I went and shaped surfboards in southern England, and I met a couple of Australian guys, Glenn and Pete Hewitt. They were doing the color work on the boards, and they said, "Yeah, come see us in Australia." So I knew it'd take me 2 years to save up enough money, so I went to Australia and surfed there. And then after that, every other year, I'd take a big trip and go. When I was in Australia, surfing at Lennox, I was going, I need to surf at Jeffreys Bay. So I went to South Africa in '86. I went with Chris Gardner to Bali in 1988, and took other trips in between. And so I started doing a lot of traveling, and people were kind of starting to travel. And I think, a lot of people saw me, taking these trips and go, well, if he can do it, I can do it. And so I think a lot of other people started traveling at that time too. About 8 years ago, my wife and we adopted a little boy from China. His name's Isaiah. I've probably done more boogie boarding in the last 8 years than I have surfing because I've been playing in the water with him. But I just shaped him a surfboard this year, so now I think I'll be surfing more again. Well, I haven't shaped too many boards since we adopted Isaiah. I've done fewer and fewer boards. I've only did 2 boards so far this year, so I like shaping boards. But today I'm teaching at Beaches Chapel. I retired from teaching at Fletcher after 33 years, and now I'm teaching science classes at Beaches Chapel School in Neptune Beach.
Let's admit it, everybody loves Dan Brooks. He's always there when you need something, whether it's a bar of wax or a donation for your fundraiser. Sunrise Surf Shop is the go-to place. For over 30 years, he has maintained that 60s surf shop appeal, where you're welcome to hang out, talk story, and the employees know about surfboards and surfing. Dan started out as a ding repair guy at the original Aqua East in the 70s. He eventually bought Sunrise from Sandy Forsyth and turned it into the shop that every surfer wanted to be associated with. It's always had the best team and the coolest vibe. That's why Dan is the man. Lynn Singleton was breaking barriers as a female surfer and skateboarder in the early 70s, hanging with the boys and attacking the surf like a guy. She also skated banks and pools with the top local skaters in the 70s with the style and grace of a seasoned pro. And as you can see, she looked like a model. Lynn won the first Wave Masters contest in '84 and dominated the ESA for years.